How we doing? Sorry, just close the sauna. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 2 for 2019 of Why I Run TV. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode, the one all about chasing crowns on Strava, and I was really excited to follow your progress for our Why I Run Mile challenge. It was great to see so many people getting involved and great to see what that leaderboard looked like after 7 days. So I hope you had fun with the weekly challenge. Stick around because I'm going to give you another one at the end of this episode as well for you to sink your teeth into. It's a good episode. It's a great episode, this one. It's one that I've been looking forward to making for a while, and it's one that I think is really important. It's about how to improve your running speed and how to get quicker with a pretty simple change to your training routine. So episode 2 is all about running cadence and how we can change our running cadence and how that can help us improve our race speed and run faster. So first of all, let's just give a quick simple definition of what running cadence is. Basically, it's how many times our foot hits the ground in a minute. It's something which I've been working on a lot over the past couple of months, the last 2 or 3 months, because it's an area which I think I can improve, and it's something which I think can help me on race day. It's also something which over the last couple of years I've used as a bit of an excuse as to why I haven't been getting quicker. I'm quite tall as a person, so I used to use that as an excuse that I can't get my legs going quick enough because I'm too tall. But you know, after watching a lot of triathletes when I did triathlon, I noticed how quick their legs were turning over when they came out of transition. And I guess with the onset of YouTube and all the internet and things like that, the fact that we can watch great athletes from around the world, I've also watched a lot of good athletes and those at the Olympics and those at high level, and you see how quick their feet are actually turning over. And when you go and observe races, and you can see that the better athletes, the ones at the front of the field, they're really getting their legs to hit the ground a lot quicker and a lot more times each minute. So if we can improve our running cadence and we can lift our running cadence number up high, close to the magic number, which we're going to talk about soon, then that's beneficial for our running. It's also beneficial for injury and things like that, and we'll get to that a bit later in the episode. But my awareness of running cadence, I guess, really started about 4 or 5 months ago when I came across an amazing article. It was about a study they did of a marathon in, I think it was in the United States or maybe in Europe, where they looked at the cadence for the different athletes across a marathon. They found that those at the front end of the marathon, those that were running, you know, the 220, 230, 240, had a particularly high cadence, up around that 190 strides a minute. And they were able to maintain that cadence for the entire marathon. They then looked at runners who maybe were at that 320, 330 mark, and they found that they started with a pretty good cadence, maybe at 180, but as they fatigued and as they got further and further on in the marathon, they found that their cadence number started to drop, maybe down to sort of 170 strides a minute. And then most interestingly for me was those that were 4 hours and 5 hours, and they found that their running cadence, the number of times that their feet hit the ground, started the marathon at about 160, and then by the end was down in some cases under 150, 140 strides a minute. So that was a fascinating study to me, because what it sort of told me was that those are more the faster runners at the front of the field. Not only are they quicker, but they're more efficient, and they keep the same running pattern, they keep the same running technique for the whole time. Those that are in the middle and towards the back of the field, they're the ones whose running technique and whose running form is changing as the marathon progresses. And surely that has a huge bearing, and surely that has a huge amount to do with how fast you finish the race and how well you do in that back end. After reading it, I started to have a bit of a look around at people that I know through the running circle who I consider to be better athletes than myself, who are faster than me, who are able to maintain their form and their speed at the back end of a race. And I looked at 3 people in particular. And I went onto their Strava and had a look at a couple of big races that I know that they did. Some of them were marathon races, some of them were 5K, some of them are 10K. And I found some fascinating results. So have a look at this. This is a good friend of mine who ran an incredible time in a marathon. Ran under 2 hours 40, and look at the cadence that he is able to hold for that marathon, 191 strides per minute, which is absolutely amazing over the distance of 42 kilometers. Here's another close friend of mine as well, and you can see their cadence as well, really high, again, incredibly high, maintaining that cadence. Another friend here, over 10 kilometers, again, really high cadence. It is high into the 180s, into the 190s strides a minute, which is absolutely amazing. Now, without looking at mine here, those numbers kind of mean almost nothing. So have a look at my cadence, my strides per minute over a 10-kilometer race, and you can see that number is vastly different. I'm taking a lot fewer steps. Yes, my stride might be a little bit longer, but I'm taking fewer steps per minute. So I noticed this. I noticed that these guys were 10, 15, 20 strides per minute more for the duration of a race, and I thought there has to be something behind this. So I started to think about how could I actually improve this? How could I get my number to go up maybe 10 or 15 strides per minute? Because there's clearly something in that. If I want to be a faster runner, I've got to get a quicker cadence going. I've got to get a more efficient stride going. So I started to think about it, and I spoke to a few coaches, I spoke to a few good friends who are exceptional athletes, and in particular I had a chat to Adsy Gordon, because when I've watched him do triathlons or when I've watched him do races, I've noticed that he's able to keep an incredibly high cadence, an incredibly high stride rate. I remember talking to him once after a half Ironman when he'd finished his 21-kilometer section of the triathlon, and he showed me his running stats, and he was at 193 or 194 strides per minute. So I knew that this is the person to go to. And when I asked him how to improve my cadence, he came back with one word. He said, "Tom, treadmill." So after doing sessions like you've just seen there, that particular session I did with Adsy Gordon was 10 lots of 90 seconds. 90 seconds on, 90 seconds off, starting at a sort of a tempo pace of sort of a 6 or 7 out of 10 and building it until you're almost at a 9 out of 10 for that last rep. After doing 3 months of treadmill work, something incredible has happened. I've compared my park runs to last sort of August and September through to one that I've done only a couple of weeks ago. And my cadence has actually gone up 12 to 13 strides per minute. And that's from doing simply one treadmill session a week. And that gives me a huge amount of optimism for the future that maybe this is going to make huge improvements. And that's from one treadmill session a week. It's also given me a bit of mindfulness as well when I go out on those 40 to 50 minute runs to focus on the cadence and try and pick that up and try and make sure that's around that magical 180 to 190 number. So I'm really excited by the changes that I've made, and hopefully it's something that you might be able to put into your weekly training. So I've become a real convert to the beauties of treadmill. The only other time I've ever used a treadmill properly was when I was living in Singapore, and it was a way to get out of the humidity. But now seeing the benefits it's made to my cadence, the treadmill session now pretty much is my speed session. I'm a real lover of it, and it's something that I put in week after week, and I don't miss it anymore. But I think the one person who can explain the benefits of treadmill running, and in particular the benefits of treadmill running for your cadence, is Adsy himself. So let's listen to what he says about a few questions I asked him.
So basically cadence is thrown around a lot. Now what that means is how many times your foot lands in a minute, all right? The higher the RPM or the leg turnover, all right, the less lactic, okay, the less time the foot's on the ground, the less jarring, all right, the less fatigue, the better we're gonna run, or more efficiently. So what you're gonna see on the treadmill is obviously a high leg turnover. Now what that does is the belt just enables your legs to turn over quicker so you have less foot contact time. Think about the movie Happy Feet, all right, nice and quick. Okay, so you've got 30 minutes. Now here's a couple of sessions that I love to do and I ask people to do when they want to do some form of exercise, all right? And they are 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Now what that means is 30 seconds of jogging, 30 seconds of rest times 30. Now that's 30 minutes. Now just remember, each one to be a little bit quicker though. That's the most important thing, all right? So you're gonna go slow to medium or medium to fast, depending on how much gas you have on the tank on that day. Second one would be definitely the 90 seconds on, 90 seconds off that we just did there. All right, now that's just going to enable you to get into a bit more of a tempo feel. All right, hold a little bit more rhythm. Okay, therefore your heart rate may increase just a little bit, but that's okay. 90 seconds on, 90 seconds off times 10. Slow to fast, not the other way. A couple of things I always talk about, and that's fluid intake. Right, I want to make sure that we're always putting some fluid in. And the second thing is the food. Now I want to make sure that we're consuming something that's real. All right, so I'm just going to show you what I'm going to have actually. So hang on a sec. Okay, so there we are. Beautiful egg on toast, all right, as simple as that. Maybe have a couple of eggs if you're feeling a little bit hungry. Have a great day. See ya.
So there you go, as Adsy was talking about, the benefits of treadmill running for your cadence, bringing that cadence up close to 180 to 190 strides per minute is there for as plain to see. As Adsy explained, it has a huge amount of benefits, not only for cadence, but for injury, for stride rate, for your touch on the ground and things like that. So hopefully it's something that I'd love you to put into your training every single week. So your weekly challenge for this week is to do one of those sessions that Adsy talked about. In particular, the 10 times 90 seconds, which I think is a great one. 90 seconds on, 90 seconds off. It'll give you a beautiful 30-minute session, so it's not a particularly long one that takes a huge amount of time. Build into it, as he said, start at a moderate pace and then build up and get higher and higher and higher until the last one you're sort of giving it a 9 out of 10 effort. A couple of other things to remember on the treadmill as well. If the treadmill is on a flat ground, maybe put the elevation at 1 because you do get a bit of benefit from the treadmill actually moving your feet around and around. So put it on an elevation 1 as well. The other session that he recommended there was 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, times 30. It's also a 30-minute session as well. So that's a great one to do. You can really ramp the speed up at the end as well, and that really gets your legs going up. You might even find that your cadence is up even higher than 190 for that one. So have a go at one of those 2 sessions that Adsy was talking about there. Tag us in Instagram and Facebook. We'd love to see any photos or videos of you doing those 2 sessions, either the 10 times 90 or the 30 times 30 seconds. That's your weekly challenge for this week. I'd love a bit of feedback as well, so send us a bit of a comment if you have a go at it. And enjoy the treadmill session, enjoy the weekly challenge for this week. As I said, if you have a go at it, send us a message, send us a little video, or tag us in anything on social media. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We would love you to join us each week for these. And whatever you're doing this week with your training, best of luck with it. Stay hydrated, sleep well, race hard if you're coming up to race season, and we'll see you next week for episode 3 of Wire Run TV. Have a great week.